Welcome to a new video. Today we are exploring Advaita Vedanta. But before we dive into it, let's first understand what Vedanta philosophy really means. Vedanta is one of the most influential school of Indian philosophy, rooted in the concluding portion of the Vedas, especially the Upanishad. The term Vedanta literally means end of the Vedas, signifying both the textual conclusion and highest philosophical culmination of Vedic thought. It seeks to answer fundamental questions about the nature of reality, the self, and ultimate truth. Vedanta relies on three foundational texts, collectively called the Prasthanatraya, the Upanishad, the Bhagavad Gita, and the Brahma Sutras. Over time, different interpretations of this text gave rise to major sub-schools such as Advaita Vedanta, non-dualism, Visishta Dvaita, Dvaita, Dvait Advait, and Shuddha Dvait Vedanta, each offering distinct views on the relationship between Brahman and Atman. In short, Vedanta is a deeply spiritual and philosophical system that emphasizes self-knowledge, ethical living, and contemplation as the path to understanding the ultimate unity or relationship between the individual and the cosmos. Let's talk about Advaita Vedanta. Advaita Vedanta is a major school of Indian philosophy that teaches the doctrine of non-dualism, Advaita, meaning that ultimate reality is one without any second. It was systematized by Adi Shankaracharya and is based on the teaching of the Upanishad, the Bhagavad Gita, and the Brahma Sutras. Now we understand the relationship between Brahman and Atman. In Advaita Vedanta, as explained by Adi Shankaracharya, Brahman is the ultimate, absolute reality, eternal, infinite, changeless, and beyond all attributes, Nirguna. It is pure existence, Sat, pure consciousness, Chit, and pure bliss, Ananda. Brahman is not a personal God in the ordinary sense, but the underlying essence of everything that exists. It is the ground of all being and the only true reality. The individual self, known as Atman, is in essence identical with Brahman. According to Shankara, there is no real difference between Brahman and Atman. This is expressed in the famous Upanishad statement, Tat Tam Asi, you are that. However, due to ignorance, avidya, and illusion, Maya, we perceive ourselves as separate, limited individual and see the world as composed of many distinct entities. Though the relationship between Brahman and Atman is one of the absolute identity, non-duality, the apparent difference is only at the level of empirical reality, Vyavahara, while at the highest level, Paramatma, only Brahman exists. Liberation, moksha, is attained when true knowledge, Gyan, remove ignorance, revealing that the individual self has always been none other than Brahman. Now let's understand three grades of Sattā. In Advaita Vedanta, especially as explained by Adi Shankaracharya, reality is understood in terms of three grades or level of existence, Sattā. Those help explain how the world appears real despite the ultimate non-dual nature of Brahman. First, Pratibhasika Sattā, illusory reality. This is the lowest level of reality, consisting of pure illusory experience. It includes things that appear real only for a moment, but are later negated, such as dream or illusion. Example, mistaking a rope for a snake. These experiences are subjective and vanish when true knowledge arises. Second, Vyavaharika Sattā, practical reality. This is the level of everyday experience. The world we live in, interact with, and consider real in practical terms. Here, distinction between individual, object, and action exist, and cause and effect operate. Although this world appears stable and consistent, it is still ultimately dependent on ignorance, avidya, and is not absolutely real. Third is Paramarthika Sattā, absolute reality. This is the highest level of reality, where only Brahman exists. It is beyond all change, multiplicity, and illusion. From this standpoint, the world and individual distinction are ultimately unreal, and the identity of Brahman and the Atman is fully realized. In summary, Advaita Vedanta uses these three levels to reconcile everyday experience with ultimate truth. What appears real at one's level may be negated at a higher level, with only Brahman being absolutely real. Now let's talk about concept and feature of Maya. In Advaita Vedanta, especially as taught by Adi Shankaracharya, Maya is the principle of illusion or cosmic ignorance that makes the one non-dual reality. Brahman appears as the diverse world of multiplicity. It is not absolutely real, nor completely unreal. Rather, it is Anirvachaniya, indefinable. Due to Maya, the true nature of reality is hidden, and the individual self, Atman, appears as limited and separate. Let's talk about features of Maya. Maya is Anirvachaniya, indefinable, because Maya cannot be described as either real, Sat, or unreal, Asat. It exists only as long as ignorance persists and disappears with true knowledge. Maya is dependent on Brahman, because Maya has no independent existence. It depends on Brahman as its substratum, just as an illusion depends on a real base, like a rope mistaken for a snake. Maya has the power of projection and concealment. Maya has two main functions. Avarna Shakti, veiling power, hides the true nature of Brahman. Vikshepa Shakti, projection power, projects the world of plurality and diversity. Maya is beginningless, Anadi, because Maya has no beginning in time, but it is not eternal. It ends when knowledge, Gyan, arises. Maya is empirical reality. Vyavaharika, the world created through Maya is real at the practical level, but not at the absolute level. It belongs to Vyavaharika Sattā, not Paramarthika Sattā. Maya, cause of ignorance, avidya, because Maya is closely associated with ignorance, which causes the misidentification of the self with body and mind. In essence, Maya explains how the non-dual Brahman appears as a world of multiplicity. When true knowledge arises, Maya is transcended, and one realizes the unity of Brahman and Atman, attaining liberation. Let's understand the concept of Adhyasa. In Advaita Vedanta, as explained by Adi Shankaracharya, Adhyasa, superimposition, is the fundamental error of mistaking one thing for another due to ignorance of Vidya. Shankara defined Adhyasa as the superimposition of the non-self, body, mind, sense, on the self, Atman, and vice versa. Because of this, we identify ourselves as I am the body or I am the doer. Instead of realizing our true nature as pure consciousness, a classical example is mistaking a rope for a snake, where the unreal is projected onto a real substratum. Similarly, the world and individuality are superimposed upon Brahman. Though Adhyasa is the root cause of bondage and liberation, moksha is attained when these errors is removed through true knowledge, jnana, revealing the non-dual reality. Let's understand the concept of Jiva. In Advaita Vedanta, the Jiva means individual self, is not ultimately different from Brahman, but appears as separate, limited being due to ignorance, avidya. According to Shankara, the true nature of the self is Atman, which is pure consciousness, eternal and identical with Brahman. However, when this pure consciousness is associated with the mind-body complex through ignorance, it is called Jiva. Though Jiva is Brahman, reflected in the intellect buddhi, appearing as individual experiencer. Karta means doer, bhokta means enjoyer. The individual of the Jiva is due to limiting adjunct upadhi such as body, mind and senses. This creates the illusion of separateness. Just as one sun reflects in many pots of water appear as many sun, in reality there is only one consciousness. From the empirical Vyavaharika standpoint, the Jiva undergoes birth, death, pleasure, pain and is bound by karma. But from the absolute Paramarthika standpoint, the Jiva is none other than Brahman and is ever free. Liberation, moksha, occur when the Jiva realizes its true nature through knowledge, jnana. Overcoming ignorance, at that point the distinction between Jiva and Brahman disappears, revealing that the individual self was never truly separate. Now, let's understand the concept of Vivartavada. In Advaita Vedanta, Vivartavada is the theory of apparent transformation. It is explained how the unchanging, non-dual Brahman appears as the changing world without undergoing any real modification. According to Vivartavada, Brahman does not actually transform into the world, parinam or real transformation. Instead, the world is only an apparent manifestation caused by ignorance, avidya or maya. A classic example is the illusion of a snake superimposed on a rope. The rope remains unchanged, but due to ignorance, it appears as snake. Similarly, Brahman remains ever the same, but the world appears due to illusion. Though the world is neither absolutely real not absolutely unreal. It is mithya, empirically real but ultimately unreal. Brahman alone is absolutely real, Sattā, while the world is only superimposition, Adhyasa, upon it. Vivartavada helps resolve the problem of change. It preserves the absolute unchanging nature of Brahman, while explaining the experience of diversity and change in the world. When true knowledge can arise, the illusion disappears, and one realizes that only Brahman exists. Let's talk about the concept of Anirvachaniya-khyati. In Advaita Vedanta, Anirvachaniya-khyati is the theory of error, illusion, which states that the object experienced in illusion is indefinable. It cannot be described as either real, Sat, or unreal, Asat, but is Anirvachaniya, indescribable. According to this theory, when an illusion occurs, such as mistaking a rope for a snake, the perceived object snake is not absolutely real, because it disappears when true knowledge arises. At the same time, it cannot be called absolutely unreal, because it is actually experienced. Therefore, it occupies an intermediate status, mithya, empirically experienced but ultimately unreal. This illusion arises due to ignorance, avidya, and involves superimposition, adhyasa, where something unreal is projected upon a real substratum. In the rope snake example, the rope is the real basis, while the snake is the illusion projection. Though Anirvachaniya-khyati explained that error is neither purely subjective nor purely objective. It is a misapprehension where the unreal appears as real due to ignorance. This theory supports the broader Advaita view that the world itself is mithya, not absolutely real, yet not completely unreal, and that only Brahman is ultimately real. Adi Shankaracharya, the chief exponent of Advaita Vedanta, developed a powerful critique of other Indian philosophical theories to establish the non-dual nature of Brahman. His criticism mainly targets theories that attempt to explain the origin of the world through real transformation. First, criticism of Prakriti Parinamvada of Shankar. Shankar holds that the world evolves from Prakriti, primordial matter, through real transformation, while Purusha, consciousness, remain passive. Shankaracharya criticized this view on several grounds. First point is insentient cause problem. Prakriti is unconscious, so it cannot intelligently create a well-ordered universe. A conscious principle is necessary to explain purposeful creation. Second point is dualism is problematic. Shankar possessed two independent realities, Prakriti and Purusha. Shankara argues that ultimate reality must be one, otherwise their interaction become logically inconsistent. Third point is dependence on consciousness. Even if Prakriti evolves, its activity presupposes the presence of consciousness. Hence, consciousness, Brahman, must be primary, not Prakriti. Fourth point is contradiction with Upanishad. The Upanishad declare a single ultimate reality as the cause of the world, not two independent principles. Though Shankara reject Prakriti as the ultimate cause and establish Brahman as the sole reality. Second, criticism of Asatkaryavada, Nyaya Vaisheshik view. The Nyaya Vaisheshik school advocate Asatkaryavada, who state that the effect does not pre-exist in the cause. It is a new creation. Shankaracharya opposed this theory with following argument. First point is, creation out of nothing is impossible. If the effect does not exist in the cause, it would amount to creation ex nihilo, from nothing, which is logically untenable. Second point is causal continuity. Everyday experience show that effects are transforming or manifestation of causes. Example, clay into pot. This implies pre-existence of the effect in the cause. Third point is violation of law of identity. If the effect is entirely different from the cause, there can be no logical relationship between them. Fourth point is scriptural authority. The Upanishad affirm that the world emerged from Brahman, implying that the effect is not wholly new but rooted in its cause. However, Shankara does not accept real transformation either. Instead, he interprets causation as apparent manifestation, vivarta. Third, the criticism of Brahman Parinamvada. Some school, like Visishtadvaita and earlier thinker, hold that Brahman actually transformed into the world. Shankara strongly rejects this view through some argument or points. First point is, change in Brahman is impossible. Brahman is defined as eternal, changeless and perfect. Real transformation would imply modification, which contradicts its nature. Second point is lose of perfection. If Brahman becomes the imperfect, changing world, it would lose its absolute nature. Third point is problem of multiplicity. Transformation would imply division in Brahman. Contradiction, non-duality or Advaita. Fourth point is scriptural evidence. The Upanishad describe Brahman as unchanging, nirvikara, beyond all transformation. Therefore, Shankara proposed Vivartavada, apparent transformation, where the world is only an illusion, appearance of Brahman, not a real modification. Let's conclude and end this video. Shankara's criticism aimed to reject all theories involving real transformation, whether of Prakriti or Brahman, and any notion of creation from nothing. By doing so, he established that the world is only an apparent reality, Mithya, while Brahman alone is absolutely real, Sattā. His philosophical strategy defends non-dualism by preserving the changeless, infinite nature of Brahman, while explaining the experienced world through illusion, Maya. Thank you. If you are still watching, I hope you are finding this content useful. Please like and share this video, subscribe to the channel and share your thought in the comment. Your support motivates me to create even more content like this.